everybody, and welcome to the Convocation Center for tonight's matchup between the Slippery Rock Rock and the California Vulcans. My name is Andrew White. Joined alongside me is Nate Kurtz. Nate, I mean, this has been a game that's been circled on the Vulcans' calendar for almost a month now. How are you feeling coming into this one?
I mean, I think we could both say this. We both went up to that trip earlier on in January up to Slip and watched that game. That was a bit of an affair, if you would like to call it so. I know there were a lot of fouls thrown out there and a lot of questions coming out of that game, and I think both teams handled that very well. And I think they both responded very well from the adversity they have faced. I mean, California had a bit of a 2 or 3 game scare stretch. You know, they lost to Westchester, and then it ended up with that loss to Slip as well. But I mean, if you look on the other side, Slip has done absolutely amazing since their bit of a weak stretch earlier on in the season. Now 11-10 and cementing himself as a 4th in the West right now. Playoff race is starting to close a little bit here as we're starting to see these teams finally lock themselves in. California, I believe, since last week at the Gannon game, have now locked themselves into the PSAC division playoffs along with Gannon, and I believe these Rock players are here to make a statement today.
As anybody who is a little bit confused as to what we're referring to, the last time that these two teams met was back on January 13th, where Slippery Rock defeated California by a score of 89-72. After California kind of fell down in the first half, trailing by 13 at halftime, and proceeded to kind of try to nip away but couldn't get there. And I mean, that ended, I believe it was an 8-game winning streak at the time for the Vulcans. So it's like we said, a game that's definitely been circled on a couple calendars for the Vulcans. And as of the words of Zion Collins after their win against Seton Hill, we're ready to give them what they deserve. So it's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, and the Rock having themselves a bit of a tough stretch as it is. I mean, starting this, I guess, road trip off with California and Gannon, but they recently at home had to play Mercyhurst, who was also in this hunt for playoff seeding here, and along with Seton Hill, both of those nice wins for them. And then having to follow those two wins up with a nationally ranked California team and then a nationally ranked Gannon University team, it's going to be tough for them.
Both teams with a little bit of quite a stretch to end the season going into the PSAC playoffs, and it's going to be interesting as we have been referring to. But as we're getting going, the starting lineups being announced here for both teams. You want to take us through Slippery Rocks?
Yeah, for the Rock, we're going to get the usuals. You're going to see number 1, Jomo Goings. That is the guard redshirted sophomore out of the Washington District of Columbia and Winston Churchill High School. And number 2, LaShawn Lindsay, the forward 6'8" senior out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. Number 3, Ike Herster, the guard redshirted sophomore out of Sharon, PA. Number 5, Maseo Austin, the 6'5" guard grad student out of Sharon, PA. And number 11, Luke Howes, the guard 6'2", redshirted sophomore out of Fairview Park, Ohio.
On your point of Ike Herster, he had his career high of 36 points last time these two teams met to kind of push his team to the win. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out scoring in this game.
Absolutely. And for these Vulcans, same sort of thing here. We're going to see the usual suspects. Number 0, Jermaine Hall Jr., the guard forward, senior out of Baltimore, Maryland. Number 2, Bryson Lucas, the forward 6'6", redshirted sophomore out of Clarksburg, West Virginia. Number 3, Zion Collins, the guard 6'4", redshirted senior out of South Riding, Virginia. Number 5, KJ McClurg, the 6'3", guard sophomore out of Morgantown, West Virginia. And number 15, DJ Slaughter, the guard 6-foot junior out of Manassas, Virginia.
Ready to get going here. Donald Whitehead's second straight start after kind of getting used to coming off the bench following DJ Slaughter and playing the majority of the minutes, but now has kind of cemented himself into that starting role here for the final stretch. And I'm excited for him. You know, he looks very healthy coming off his injury earlier this season. And I think he's going to be a player to watch tonight because Slippery Rock seems to give up a decent amount of looks from outside the arc. And the Dawn is a very good shooter.
Yeah, and excuse me already getting that one wrong. I know when we were writing our starting lineups here, initially DJ was listed, but must have been a game time decision here to switch to the Dawn. But as you said, that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, he's taken up most of the point guard minutes for this year when he is healthy. DJ Slaughter is a steady hand on the defensive side of the ball, but Donald Whitehead Jr. has not only cemented himself as an offensive weapon and a microwave scorer, but also such a solid defensive player as well, who can provide what DJ Slaughter usually can.
Jump ball going up between Bryson Lucas and LaShawn Lindsay, and the win goes to Bryson Hall as the Vulcans will start the game with possession.
Yeah, and I think the key for these Vulcans here is to start off hot and get scoring early on.
And there's the Dawn right off the rip with a mid-range jumper, no good. The rebound by Jermaine Hall, and there'll be a foul as he was coming down kind of hard.
And already early action here. I know if you're the Vulcans, and most specifically Coach Thinkum, you're going to want your guys to play physically today. I know the last time these two teams faced, it was a physical matchup with a lot of fouling. So I think these guys are going to come in here strong early on.
Jump shot there by KJ McClurg, no good. And the rebound by Lindsay. Last time these two teams met, Lindsay finished the game with 14 points and 14 rebounds, being a dominant force down low. So we'll have to see if that continues, as he already has a rebound here early on. Pass up top. First shot for Ike Herster, and it finds the bottom of the net. You got to hope that he doesn't start out as hot as he was last time, because that was a good-looking jumper.
Yeah, and that's a bit of an early heat check already. I know they definitely want to get off and running in this game against these Vulcans. Again, nationally ranked team here, formerly up to number 9 in the country. Had a bit of a slid here, especially with that loss against Gannon now.
A great take on the drive there by Dawn, and California is on the board with their first 2 points of the game.
Yeah, and the great ball movement by these Vulcans. That's something that we've seen all year long, just how well they're able to maneuver the ball around the court and open up these opportunities for scoring.
I see Austin pull up 3, no good, and the rebound by Donald Whitehead. Whitehead bringing it up the floor on the left wing. Gets it to McClurg, coming off a screen. McClurg going to take it to the basket. Nobody down low for help defense, and he'll find his first bucket of the night.
Yeah, and the leading scorer in all of the PSAC, getting himself off and starting early. And I mean, that's important too for these Vulcans, is to get a guy like KJ, who, I mean, we've sung the praises of all year long. Just get him off hot and get him scoring early on.
Yeah, we missed you on the last broadcast, and I had to give you a shout out as the vice president of the McClurg Club. And it's, you know, I gave you your awards, and I'm sure you would have been happy to see what he did against Seton Hall.
I mean, I was watching here and then, but you know, the Vulcan Esports, I believe that would have been the Rocket League team needed me that night. So, you know, gotta focus here and there.
Hey, we all have other responsibilities. There's a great little shimmy move there by Jomo Goins, and Slippery Rock in California kind of switching back and forth with the lead.
And that was a bit of a Thanasis Antetokounmpo shimmy yay there as a shot by Jermaine Hall Jr. from 3 early on. That's a nice clean shot, is it not?
Jermaine Hall really finding himself comfortable outside of the arc. As we kind of noticed a little bit earlier, he actually is getting his way up on the shooting percentages list in all of the PSAC, so he continues his consistency here tonight. That's Goins with the ball, covered by Bryson Lucas. Looking to size him up. A little bit of a crossover. The drive to the middle. Puts it up. Creates some contact, but no good. And the rebound by Lindsay. Gets it back up with the left. No good. But the tip in there by Ike Herser.
Yeah, they absolutely deserve that bucket, too. That is absolutely beautiful ball movement by Goins. Had that one in the bag.
Jermaine Hall gets it up top to Zion. And Zion over to Donald Whitehead. Whitehead over to Lucas, coming off a great game himself as he pulls up for 3. Off the backboard and no good. And the rebound by Herster. Herster loses it. Donald Whitehead coming back the other way. Gets it to Zion. He's going to shoot the 3, and he's going to make it.
And that's so important, too, for Zion to get off on as well. I know he's had a bit of a struggle throughout the year. You know, he's very much a shooter, and he's going to take those open shots when he gets them. And he's had a bit of trouble making them. You know, through this mid-season stretch. But, you know, against Seton Hill, he had a nice game for himself, so it's important for him to get hot off now as Donald Whitehead Jr. is going to knock that ball out of the air.
Jermaine Hall coming back the other way with it. Zion Collins with it now. Gets it to Jermaine Hall. Hall on the drive with the right hand, and he makes his second shot attempt of the night as he starts out 2 for 2.
And I love that shot by Jermaine, just using his strength and his size to an advantage. I mean, he plays the small forward in the 3 most of the time, and he has such a good size for it, too.
The drive there by Luke Hose, no good. The rebound by Lindsay again. He kicks it out to Herster. Herster off the back rim. And once again, Lindsay just making himself known down low, but he's going to pick up the foul there. Telling you, he's going to be a player to watch down low as you need to kind of box him out and keep him off the board because he is a menace on the backboard.
Yeah, no, that's something that the Vulcans have struggled with, I mean, this year and last year, and ever since really they lost Philip Alston 2 years ago. Something they've just really struggled with has been that rebounding, whether it be on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I mean, you do have the sizable force of Bryson Lucas and Keith Palick, but, I mean, if you've watched any of these games, you know they're more of a slimmer athletic type of build, so it's harder for them to really get up for those tough rebounds that a guy like Layshawn Lindsay, who's 2'10", can normally bring down.
Layshawn Lindsay on the season averaging 9.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, shooting 41% from the floor, the senior out of Meadville, PA. A little bit of a good turnout here tonight, crowd-wise, as we have, I believe, one or two high school teams here supporting the Vulcans, as well as many families, friends, and I would assume some fans from Slippery Rock themselves, as they knew this was a big game.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the greatest things about the PSAC is just like how dedicated these fan bases are. And I mean, specifically, you know, when Gannon usually comes to town here in Cal, you almost always see an entire section just filled with the Gannon family and fans here supporting their team. And I know Slip isn't too much of a drive either, so I'd imagine you get to see a decent amount of their fans here too. And I mean, such the magic of Division II basketball is just how tight-knit these fan bases are, and you know how even a big arena like this can sound so loud when you've got dedicated fans to scream and shout.
The ball coming back in here for the Vulcans as Donald Whitehead bringing it up. Score 12-7 in favor of California. Zion Collins on the drive to the middle. And he gets it over to Jermaine Hall, who just kind of mishandles it, and it's going to come back the other way.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Sankum isn't even really angry about that one, too. That's just a small mistake. It happens. Jermaine just wasn't necessarily ready for that powerful of a pass. I don't even think Zion really meant to throw it as hard as he did, so unfortunate, but you know, Cal already up to an early lead here, and I mean, if you're Coach Sankum, I definitely think you just want to focus on the defensive side of the ball.
Goins loses the ball on the drive, and Jermaine Hall comes up with it. He's on the right wing. He's going to pass it across court to Keith Palick. Checked in the game and during the media timeout. They get it to Zion, and Zion, who got going from three last game, we have to see if he kind of stays as aggressive. Gets it out to Donald Whitehead for three, in and out. Austin coming back the other way. He's going to drive to the right side, put it up with the left hand underneath, and what a beautiful finish there by Maceo Austin.
And I feel like that's something you're also going to see a lot of from this Rock offense is just crashing the board and trying to take advantage of this weak defense within the paint.
Zion in the post. He's going to fade away and put up a jumper in and out, but Keith Palick with the offensive board and leaves it short, and the rebound by Lindsay.
And I mean, that was a surprisingly beautiful shot from Zion there. He had everything he wanted, just doesn't get the roll that he needs. And again, that's going to give the possession back to Rock here, who have already shown some solid offensive prowess early on in the game.
Drive here by Goings. He passed it over. Jermaine Hall tips it, and it finds its way out of bounds as the Rock will keep possession.
And again, I'm going to drill this in probably all afternoon long, is just focusing on the defensive side of the ball. It's something they struggled with heavily when they played them earlier within the year. And already, yeah, look at that. You're going to see another steal.
Jermaine Hall on the drive, loses it midair. It's going to go out of bounds off Lindsay. Kind of bouncing off your point there. Talking to Zion after their game against Seton Hill, he stressed about the importance of their defense, and they know the offense is going to come. They have enough talented players on their roster. They just need to be able to lock it down, keep their man in front of them, and that's what they've been doing so far this game, and that's why they have somewhat of a lead.
To be honest, I saw Jermaine like hold that ball a little too far in the paint, and I thought he was going to like slam it down and send this place all the way to like New Jersey.
Kind of a mishandle on the drive there by McClurg, and the ball ends up finding its way out of bounds. The Rock bringing it back the other way now. It's been kind of a game of miscues so far to this point, as it's going to be somewhat of a physical and all-around game following the feelings that both of these teams have for each other. Lindsay in the high post. He's trying to back down Palick, but Palick not giving up any space. And they're going to call the foul on Zion Collins. That will be his second here early on, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for. It looks like DJ Slaughter and Antoine Arnett checking into the game for Zion Collins and Donald Whitehead.
Yeah, and I think bringing in that size to defensive prowess of Arnett's going to be very important early on in this game here too. And I think really it's going to be very important to have Keith Palick try and show out here. I know we saw him put up a great performance against one of the best centers within the PSAC, Ethan Porterfield of IUP. And I think it's going to be very important for him to try and battle LaShawn Lindsay in the post and put up some points.
Main Hall three there, no good. Ball gets tipped out of bounds, but it's going to stay on this end. As they say, it went off Joe Mogoens, number 1 for the Rock.
And you know, JJ just is not safe. He almost just got whacked again. I don't know if anybody was watching the last home game we had here. He got completely run over by Jermaine Hall Jr. So, yeah, he's already given a wave to the camera, and good thing.
And you have to realize he's not sitting down, and for good reason, as that chair does not have wheels on it. The cross-court pass there gets picked up by Bobby Clifford. Gets it back out to Lindsay, and they're going to set it up top as Goins with it now, guarded by the taller Palick. Going to try to shoot over him, and he does, and that was an impressive jumper there by Goins.
Yeah, that's just such a smooth jumper, too. There's no way you're guarding that, as now the Rocky are going to take their first lead of the game. It's been such a good back-and-forth battle so far here in this afternoon.
Jermaine Hall, the fadeaway jumper, no good. Kind of settled a little bit there as Goins coming back the other way with some speed. And a foul, and he will go to the line for 2. You can hear some fans in the crowd telling the guys to get back on defense, and so far that's kind of been where Slippery Rock has excelled here in the transition, being able to finish at the rim.
The brain kind of turned off there for a hot minute, but I mean, going off your point, yeah, transition defense has been such an important part to the Vulcans, you know, weaknesses. I mean, I feel like something they have struggled with so far is just being able to stop the fast break and stop that fastball going down the court. But I mean, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I mean, there aren't many offenses in defensive units that are as good as they are. I mean, you may be weak on the transition, but overall, this defensive unit's very good at stopping the score.
Goins with it now. Passes it over to Samora. Samora with the jumper, no good. Antoine Arnett coming back the other way. Gets it to Slaughter. Slaughter on the drive and transition. He'll get fouled, and he will head to the line 4-2.
Four bodies dropped there, and I mean, thankfully none of them ended up badly. And I think Jomo Goings ended up near Blaze. I don't know how that happened. And that one's going to go against Lindsay. And what's important here too is, I don't know if you're looking at the scoreboard, how many fouls does Mr. Lindsay have?
Lindsay does have 2 fouls, and we did say that he is a guy to keep an eye on. And seeing, you know, 2 fouls in the first 8 minutes of this game, you have to expect him checking out. That's exactly the case. Ike Herster will check into the game for him. A little bit of a smaller lineup here now for the Rock. California with a rare advantage height-wise, as they have both Bryson Lucas and Keith Palick out on the floor, 2 6'7" and 6'8" guys.
I mean, that makes you think, how are they going to start to run the offense now? Because, I mean, normally you'd try and see them run some sort of mid-range or three-point type of shots. The small ball lineup they normally run, but these guys you'd expect maybe they hit the paintball.
Slaughter makes the second of 2 free throws there. Ties this game up at 13. Ike Herster tries to cross it over, kind of loses the ball. Bryson Lucas picks it up. Cross-court pass to Antoine Arnett, who puts it up, and the foul. What a play by Arnett.
Beautiful play, and again, he's just shown this all year long. He's so talented underneath the net, and you know, for his size, I would say it is relatively surprising how strong he is. I mean, at 205, I don't think you're expecting, you know, a power forward to just really back down the man as he does, but getting himself to the basket, 2 points, and that's going to put Cal back up in the lead.
Probably sound like a broken record here, but Arnett, one of the most efficient players on this team, shooting over 60% on the year. It's a good sample size, about 83 shots on the year, made 53 of them, and I mean that's some impressive numbers for a redshirt freshman.
And I think it's even worse that we didn't even get to see him last year too, because I believe he was out with a injury and was redshirted last year as well.
Maceo Austin on the drive, a little shake and bake move on Arnett, who couldn't stay in front, and he finishes at the rim. Bryson Lucas gets it out to DJ Slaughter, who gives it back to Lucas, has the smaller defender on him currently. Going to do a little bit of a spin move, pass underneath the basket, gets it out to Keith Palick on the reach in before the shot, and the ball will be underneath the basket for the Vulcans. That will take us to our second media timeout, as we're going to head to commercial break here. Stay with us as we have an exciting game coming forward on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network.
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are here at the Convocation Center following our first media timeout. Vulcans holding a 1-point lead with 11 minutes and 44 seconds to play. And, I mean, a pretty exciting first 8 minutes, nothing too crazy, kind of what we expected between these two teams, and excited to keep it going.
I mean, I know I'm supposed to be like creative and think of some like analytical stuff to say, but I mean, it's just been a basketball game. Like, been back and forth. Both these teams have been running very good plays on the offensive side of the ball, just some missed shots. Just been impressive individual plays so far.
KJ McClurg misses the floater. The comeback the other way. The missed layup there by Sheik Samora. And it's going to go out of bounds and be in possession arrow of the Vulcans.
I mean, that was an impressive play by Samora, cutting his way through the defense. Not able to find the finish, though. But I think the Rock are definitely going to need something like this going forward. It seems like outside the arc hasn't really worked for them so far. So I think just honing in on the inside part of the offensive ball is going to be key for them scoring going forward.
Slaughter drops in the middle of the great pass down low to Keith Palick, who finishes with the left hand. Austin gets it over to Hose. Howes, I should say, potentially. Back over to Austin. And then the pass in there to Billy Clifford, who just barely misses the lay-in. It's going to be a foul on the other end. Slippery Rock head coach Ian Grady not very happy there with the referees. It's a little bit of a miscommunication.
You know, if I recall what happened at the last time these two teams faced off, I think the last time a coach yelled too loud, a cop came on the court. So I think Coach Grady does have to be a little careful. I don't think our beautiful officers here in sunny California are going to do such a thing. And also, I would like to mention what you mentioned during the women's game on the headset about these the player scorecards at the scorer's table. Absolutely right. I mean, just like the zoomed-in faces of the players. And they're handsome young men, but
it's quite terrifying.
Yeah, it's quite terrifying. Yeah, absolutely.
As both free throws there from McClurg good as he gets his third and fourth points of the night. Now coming back the other way is Luke Howes. Howes with a great crossover on the stutter step. Puts up a mid-range jumper off the front rim, no good. Bryson Lucas with the rebound.
You know, this is giving me shades of the IUP game between California and IUP a little earlier on in the last month, as Antoine Arnett's going to lose the ball in a bit of a silly little sequence.
Great defensive play there by Luke Howes as he kind of just got his hand involved, and Antoine Arnett was trying to readjust and just kind of lost it on his way up. 20-15 in favor of the Vulcans. We are halfway through this first half. Pass over to Macio Austin. Austin, the leading scorer on this squad. He passes it over to Sheik Samora, whose back foot was on the line, so it's going to come back the other way in favor of the Vulcans.
You know, as I mentioned, as Donald Whitehead Jr. is going to come into the game for DJ Slaughter, again, now Jermaine Hall Jr. going to check in for Antoine Arnett as well. That one came a bit of a surprise. You know, shades of that IUP game where it's not necessarily score after score after score after score. I mean, both these teams are 7 for 17 and 7 for 18, respectively. But it's just more or less just physical, intelligent ball.
Back comes Macio Austin off the turnover by the Vulcans. Gets it over to Howells. Back to Austin, covered by Jermaine Hall. He's going to get it to Samora. Samora turns it over to Bryson Lucas on the fast break. You got your 10 out of 10 ready, as we thought we were going to get a thunderous slam there, but regardless, he finishes high above the rim and lays it in.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the talents of Bryson Lucas, whether it is a thunderous slam sending us to the other side of the state or it's just a beautiful layup. He's so good at just driving the lane and being able to find that open shot.
And a great steal there by Lucas as well, as he gets it up to Donald Whitehead. A little bit of a numbers game here. Gets it to McClurg. McClurg for three and no good, as he's kind of started off slower than we're used to here at the Convocation Center. A great little Euro step there by Goings, but cannot find the bottom of the bucket. Keith Palak with the rebound, and they're coming back the other way. Back to your point on Bryson Lucas's ability to finish. He kind of gave this team a spark against Seton Hill with a thunderous jam, putback dunk early in that second half that kind of got them on a little run, and once they got the lead, they never looked back.
And that's something this team's just sorely missed throughout the year. You know, I mean, they lost him last year. Wasn't able to see him or Zion Collins. I think we're going to see a timeout from Coach Brady. And I think it's desperately needed here. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, Slimp has struggled just being able to keep it. And California taking advantage of that, I mean, in stride. I mean, there's already, let's see here, already 7 steals. And we're about midway through the first now for the Vulcans alone.
Yeah, taking absolutely nothing away from the Rock. But California is a step above them in terms of skill. And in order to kind of keep in this game and stand toe-to-toe with California, they're going to need to clean up the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, this is a team you can't necessarily make those offensive mistakes against, because we've already seen how dominant this Vulcan offense can be at times. And even the defensive side of the ball, I know we've said it so many times, is just so good at being able to stop just those slow plays that, you know, some of these teams try and draw out. They've had such a good time defending from beyond the three-point line as well. So it's not like you can necessarily, you know, try and take hard buckets against these Vulcans. I think really for the Rock, you just try and take it easy, play simple basketball. Because even though the Vulcans do have a very good defense, I mean, if you overcomplicate it, they know how to break your systems, as you see right there.
Bad pass to the post there by Goins. Kind of gets turned over, and another bad pass by KJ McClurg as Lindsay gets in the passing lane. And look at this. I mean, back and forth, just taking the ball right off of each other with a pickpocket there by Bryson Lucas.
Yeah, and I think Danny Sankum just gave, like, the stop sign, just told his guys to slow down a bit, because I think that's just what this is kind of needed right now. The game's just pretty fast so far, as Keith's going to take a deep three.
Wow, that touched every single portion of the rim besides falling in. And Slippery Rock coming back the other way, down 9. Ike Herster looking for something in the post, can't get anything going. Grabs his own rebound, though. He's going to stay aggressive over the smaller defender of Whitehead and hook shot in.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great offensive possession there by the Rock. And specifically Herster just being able to cement himself over the guards, specifically Jermaine Hall Jr. That's not an easy guy to defend. And then just getting it over Whitehead, who, even though at the 5'10 size, does not play like it, definitely plays like a 6-footer.
Bryson Lucas on the take there, the follow, and he's going to make it off the rebound. And that's exactly what Bryson Lucas is going to give you day in and day out.
And again, I know I've already said it, but it's something that this team last year desperately missed. And having him back, you not only get that defensive and offensive rebounding ability, but it's the energy he brings as well. Because that's going to be a charge against Jermaine Hall Jr. And again, this is exactly what these Vulcans needed here. The energy bursts, I believe that's going to send us to a media timeout. Am I correct?
It will. Yes, it will.
Ooh,
that was a big play there by Jermaine Hall, as he was able to, he kind of slipped on his way through, but was able to gather himself, stand up, get in the right position, and with Lindsay lowering his shoulder, I mean, all you got to do is fall to the ground, and you're going to get that call every time, as Lindsay picks up his 3rd of the game.
So you're saying he was able to slip his way through?
See, I fell to the trap of, after that Slippery Rock game, saying that California had slipped at Slippery Rock. And I've said it a couple times now, and each time I've cringed just a little bit more.
No, there's nothing wrong with a good dad joke here and there. I hope our producer, Mr. Gary Smith, appreciated that. If I don't receive a text within the next minute or two saying that was not a great joke, I'm gonna cry, because it was perfect.
I mean, it fit in well, as California with a 9-point lead, 7 minutes left to go in this first half. And I mean, so far the story is kind of the foul trouble that Slippery Rock has put themselves into. Is Lindsay with 3 fouls. You have Ike Herster with 2 already, and Luke Howells with 2 as well. So I mean, going into the second half, I mean, I know we still have plenty of time left to play in this first half, but going into the second half when some of your best players have 2 or 3 fouls, it's kind of hard to play as aggressive as you'd like to, and it's something that Slippery Rock's going to have to keep an eye on.
Oh, well, absolutely. And I mean, I'm also looking at the turnover category. I know when about a 4 or 5 minute stretch there where just every single time Slip had the ball on the offensive side, just wasn't able to hold on to it. Their passes just kept getting intercepted. And that's led to a almost 6 turnover difference between these two teams. It's now Slip with 11 and Cal with 5. I think that's been one of the key parts of this game that's kept Cal above, is just being able to stop the ball and stop these passes.
McClurg at the top of the key gets it to Whitehead, and they're going to set it up with about half of the shot clock remaining. Pass to Palak. He's working the high post. He's going to spin around. He has Maceo Austin on him. A great pivot move as he goes to put it off the backboard, but no good, and Goings with the rebound. The transition, great, beautiful transition there by the Rock as Bobby Clifford's able to finish it off.
And that's just good set passing by the Rock here, and they needed that bucket. Need to get themselves back in this game on the offensive side of the ball. You know, it's something we've mentioned here before is how early on this offense needs to click for this game to be successful for the Vulcans. Is I think that was a foul against the Vulcans, or maybe a out of bounds.
Yeah, Keith Palak picked up an illegal screen there, and not exactly what you want to see, especially on a made shot by KJ McClurg.
I think they're either resetting the clock or allowing for the subs. Allowing for the subs, okay.
Arnett does check in for Palak, because I believe that might have been his, no, it was only his first, but he does check in for him after the hard foul, and Goings with it now for the Rock, gets it over to Clifford. Clifford for 3 from the corner, and maybe he's the spark this team needed, as that's 5 straight points for Bobby Clifford of the Rock.
And that's something that this Slip team needed. And now down to a 4-point lead for these Vulcans, as we're going to get a bit of pressure here on the full court end, as Bryson's just going to try and look for Donald Whitehead Jr.
Clifford tried to keep the aggression up there as he was pressing Whitehead, not allowing him to get the ball in bounds, but finds a way to get it. And now he's feeding Jermaine Hall in the post. The smaller Howells on him. The fadeaway jumper, no good. And because Arnett kind of tumbled his way out of bounds and the ball hit him, it's going to come back the other way for the Rock.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just a smart defensive play, being able to get the ball for the Rock as a bit of a, I guess, a tumble, as if you would call it, under the net. And this is an important possession coming up here for both teams. I think for the Vulcans, you need to stop this offensive push here so the Rock don't get enough heat, as we're going to see another 3-pointer.
3 is no good. Donald Whitehead rising up high for a 5'11" player, but the Rock coming back with it. Maceo Austin on the drive, kind of loses it, puts it back up. No good. Once again, another offensive board, and you just can't let that happen if you're the Vulcans.
Yeah, and I think it just, again, goes down to these Vulcans tapping the ball away to the wings, trying to find their man. Donald Whitehead Jr. and Antoine Arnett both doing it, creating rebounds now for the Rock.
And the forced jump shot there
No,
by
you're
Luke Howells,
kidding me.
and another rebound by the Rock. The kick out to Clifford for 3. Off the back rim, no good. Another
4.
offensive rebound, and they're just continuing to create chances for themselves. There's going to be a blocking foul there on what I believe was Jermaine Hall. I know they're going to call that on Bryson Lucas, and the ball will be underneath the basket.
I mean, you don't want any fouls, but at that point, I think you just kind of needed it to just, like, stop the play and just, like, be able to think for a second. Unfortunate sequence of events here for these Vulcans, but, I mean, if you're the Rock, this is absolutely your dream. I mean, you're getting almost 4 straight offensive possessions here, if you really think about it.
Howells with it now. He gets it over to Maceo Austin. Austin gets the screen from Clifford. He's going to drive to the right side. He lowers the shoulder there, and KJ McClurg doing what he does best and drawing a charge on the defensive end.
Yeah, and I don't know how he keeps getting back up. He's done this all year. He did it last year as well, as he made his debut last year for this program. And I think one of the most impressive parts of KJ's game has just been that step up he had. I mean, last year, I don't know if you remember, he was a key player, but I think we saw more of that ball going towards Keith Palak, him getting most of the shine, as he was the team's leading scorer. But, you know, KJ definitely stepped into his own this year, became one of the best, actually the best three-point shooter in the PSAC, the best scorer in the PSAC. He's came into his own in his own right.
And like you said, he's just made a great transition into his second year of college. One of the best I've ever seen personally, and he's continuing to do so as he's the leader of this team. Passing it inside to Bryson Lucas, the smaller defender on him, and a wayward shot there. And Maceo Austin comes down with it for the Rock. Gets it over to Ike Herster. He's going to pump fake back over to Austin. Austin guarded by Arnett. He's going to drive into the middle. He loses the ball. Once again, California able to come up with it as Jermaine Hall dives on the floor. Gets it up to Bryson Lucas. They have a bit of numbers to KJ McClurgan. About the easiest finish you will have.
Yeah, the Rock already tried to move that ball way too quick and catch the Vulcans off guard, and that's going to lead to a turnover again, something killing this Rock team in the first.
KJ McClurg with a great little step back, the bounce pass across court, and kind of a miscommunication between Bryson Lucas and Donald Whitehead. But that'll take us to our last media timeout of the half, and we will take another commercial break. As this has been Andrew White and Nate Kurtz on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network. Stay tuned.
Regardless of the season, follow all the action with CUTV Sports. From the gridiron to the hardwood, the pitch and the diamond, CUTV Sports has you covered with almost 100 live games a year. With multiple camera angles, graphics, announcers, and replays for 37 seasons, CUTV Sports is your home for Vulcan athletics. Get out of the huddle and into the action with CUTV Sports.
Welcome back as we are ready for the final 4 minutes of this first half between these two teams that are really putting together quite the show, but also quite the disappointment on the offensive end as the Rock up to 14 turnovers.
Yeah, and I'm already watching a pretty good and pretty close basketball game, and then the Baby remix of this Lil Nas X song came on. So I'm having the time of my life here tonight. And again, there's nothing more exciting than watching a good defensive and offensive matchup. And I think we've seen it so far is just how well this defense for the Vulcans has played, forcing 14 turnovers in the first half alone against this Rock offense.
The pass in here to Howells, and he's covered by Whitehead. Setting up the offense, gets it to Herster. He's going to fake the handoff. Gets it back to Howells. The feed down low to Maceo Austin. Austin in the middle, puts it up, and he'll get fouled, so he'll head to the line for two.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Herster didn't just try and drive the lane. I think he had Jermaine Hall focused on his right side, trying to send him to the left. And I definitely thought Herster should have just gone into the lane and tried to go for two, but it's not going to be Austin at the line for two.
Maceo Austin connects on the first, a 64% free throw shooter on the year, averaging just under 18 a game, six rebounds, with a season high of 27 points in two separate occasions, 8 games this year of 20-plus. He misses the second.
Bit of a weird one. We're going to see Dalman Alexander come in here near the end of the first. I know he kind of had a prominent role here early on in the season, and he's kind of dropped off to more of I'd say like an 8th or 9th man here, but it's nice to see him lining back up at the scores table.
Absolutely insane pass there by Jermaine Hall. I don't even know how he got that across court on a bounce pass as well, and KJ McClurg capitalizes on a three-point connection.
Did we bring up the Doncic comparisons yet? It's going to be holding call.
And I believe maybe Jermaine Hall might be bleeding. I would imagine that's the only reason why they could kind of bring a random stop to the game, that Danny Sankum actually told the ref about it. And it will stay on this end. And, yeah, a little bit of blood, it looks like, on his jersey or something on his jersey that the referee was, oh, yeah, his elbow's bleeding. As the referee did not take notice of that, and Danny Sankum had to kind of point it out.
I think it's nice, though, for these teams to just stop and let themselves settle here. I mean, almost immediately off the timeout, this stoppage happens, and I think it's important, too. It's just for these teams to mentally just resettle themselves and close out this first half. And, I mean, it's looking a little dark here if you're the Rock so far. I mean, so far these Vulcans have just been able to shut down your offense at every step and every turn. And, I mean, really going into this halftime, I think if you're Coach Grady, I just think you need to look at your guys and see if you can try and refocus on the offense.
I always find it extremely interesting how each ref is so different. And right there, they gave Jermaine a ton of time, but then in a girls' game earlier this year, they had to actually replace the free throw shooter because it took too long. So it's always interesting to see different refs' characteristics. Is right there, Sheikh Samora not able to bring in the pass, and once again, another The Rock turnover.
And, you know, beat a dead horse, but it's been killing them so far this game. It's, you know, it's the reason why they are now down, I believe, 8 points here. And I think now if you're The Rock, you just want to try and solidify and, you know, get the end of this half solid.
What a rebound there by KJ McClurg, as he is not giving up on the play, puts it up again, and he'll find his way to the line. I mean, that was the most hard-working 2 free throws I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, it's just from a hard-working individual. I mean, every single game after the away team here at the Convocation Center goes back to the locker room to talk. KJ McClurg always is on the other end of the court just working on his shot. And, I mean, you see it in the statistical categories, too. Leads in so many different categories and is just such a dynamic player. And I think that's just due to the hardworking attitude that he has.
I think it's funny that earlier I mentioned that maybe he was off to a slow start, and now he's already up to 13 in the first half. He's just that good. I mean, even when you think he's not playing well, he's playing well.
Yeah, I mean, a slow KJ performance is like 15 points, and I don't think I want to know what a good performance is.
And what a great take there by Samora as he finishes off the backboard plus the foul, and he will try to extend with a 3-point play.
I actually thought Dahlman was going to be able to get himself enough contact on the ball to force that out for a block, but I mean, that's just beautiful contact by Samora to be able to force that and balance himself to the line.
Samora's free throw in and out. Rebound by Jermaine Hall. The pass up to Donald Whitehead. They're running in transition. And wow, Samora with back-to-back highlight plays as he sends that all the way to the other end. And our guy Nick Pryor going to have to take a little jog over there and think about what he just saw. I mean, it was just a very athletic play by Samora.
Yeah, that's just absolutely dirty to bring out here. The 6'6" redshirted freshman out of North Carolina. Beautiful play by him and bring some energy back into this game for the Rock.
Surprised we didn't hear a little bit more of a reaction from the Slippery Rock fans here. I know that when anybody on California sends a block away like that, we kind of lose our minds as Donald Whitehead kind of recovers from the slip. Once again, another dad joke. Pass over to Arnett. Arnett kind of loses it, and a great little steal there by Goings. Gets it up to Howes, passes it in the corner to Herster. Herster on the three-pointer gets fouled, and he's going to have 3 free throws, and that's not what you want to see if you're a California Vulcan.
Yeah, and I think that one's going to be against Dahlman Alexander. That's already his second. He's only been in here for like a minute and a half now, and I believe he's going to have to be taken out here for Slaughter to make sure he doesn't get himself into foul trouble. And I mean, that's just not a foul that you need. I mean, that's just not a foul you could take. I mean, you do have the lead by 8, but I mean, he nails these 3 and 7-6-5. That's a 5-point, 2-score game.
I mean, Ike had 2 hands in his face, and I mean, when you're a guy like Dahlman Alexander trying to find your way back into the lineup, you can't make mistakes like that. But nonetheless, Ike Herster at the line for 3 free throws, connects on the first. Ike is a 14.5 point per game scorer, 3 rebounds, and like we said, he had his career high of 36 points versus California back on the 13th of January. And he has 15 games this year of over 10 points. Third free throw is good as he connects on all 3 and cuts the lead down to 5 with just under 2 to play in this first half.
And again, that's the absolute worst case scenario you can get here because this is now down to a 2-score game. A 3 and a 2-point can now tie this in. And maybe 2 back-to-back threes sends this to a slip lead. With a minute and a half, anything is possible.
Donald Whitehead setting it up. 10 on the shot clock now. He pulls up for 3 at the top of the key off the left side of the rim. No good. Very athletic rebound there by Jermaine, but because he was falling to the ground, he kind of just had to throw it up and just goes out of bounds.
And I think an impressive play by Jermaine, just not able to find the rebound exactly what he wanted, but just how athletic this senior is able to show himself as. And I know this is a present that Coach Singham loves to have within his guys, is just dedication to what they're doing. He wants his guys jumping after those balls. He wants them to make the tough plays and to go in and crash the boards for the rebounds. And I think no player exemplifies that more than the senior Jermaine Hall Jr.
Howells with it now. Pass it over to Hurster. He's going to put up another three. And that gets stuck. Not something you see often, but we did see it actually in the last men's game as well. Kind of just gets jammed in between the backboard and the rim there. And because the possession arrow is in favor of the Rock, it will stay on this end.
I mean, I just think we're bad luck at this point. Because, I mean, that's like what? We've done like, what, 3 or 4 games together now? And it's already 2 times that's happened.
It's definitely an interesting thing. And I remember being younger in middle school and high school when that happened for us. We didn't have the luxury of being able to jump and tip it out for ourselves. We had to find some kind of broomstick or another ball and just start chucking at the rim and hope that it came down. But obviously these guys are athletic enough to get it out themselves. The three-pointer there by Samora, no good. The rebound by Goings. That's his 3rd offensive rebound of the night. And he gets it to Samora on the back end. A rebound there by Maceo Austin, and he'll go to the line for 2 for the 2nd time tonight.
And when we were away here against Slippery Rock, I remember I very much emphasized on how important this guard play of the Rock is, because they take advantage of the size of their guards. I mean, you could look at a guy like Ike Hurster. He's like, what, your shooting guard, your point guard, and that's a 6'6" guy. You look at Maceo Austin, 6'5". That's like the smallest guy you have in your starting lineup is 6'2", which, and for your guards, is very impressive and can be a really big factor when you're going up against guys like Donald Whitehead Jr., who, you know, plays above his size, but still 5'10" compared to like a 6'5". It's tough to guard.
I mean, with Lindsey having 3 fouls in this game, only playing 9 minutes, he does have 5 rebounds in those 9 minutes, but Slippery Rock still able to out-rebound California even in his absence, as they have a 7 deficit rebounding at 25-18.
And it's a 3-point game here now, and, you know, like you just saw there, that's a mistake you can't afford to make here with a minute left.
And a step back 2 there by Donald Whitehead off the back rim and no good. Jermaine Hall with the aggressive rebound, puts it back up, and he'll get fouled as he's going to go to the line himself. And the foul there on Maceo Austin. That'll be his 3rd. So now him with 3, Ike Hurster with 2, Lindsey with 3 as well. I mean, this is going to be an interesting storyline throughout this game, as the 3 star players for this squad essentially all in foul trouble.
And, I mean, I don't know how you really plan around that if you're Coach Grady going into the second, because, I mean, you can't really start to play physical defense anymore because you can't worry about your guys drawing out those final 2 fouls, sending them, and that's going to be number 12, Nick Suzaku. I hope I got that right. The guard forward, 6'4" grad student out of Greece.
He did. That was very impressive for not looking at the pronunciation sheet that we have handy.
That you have handy.
That I have handy.
Don't look
yes,
at me.
I do have it handy because I'm known for my mispronunciations of last names, and that was a great job there by our man Nate. And the missed free throw there by Jermaine. 3-point game with 30 seconds left. Howells with it now. Pass it across court to Goings. Guarded by McClurg. He's going to put up a 3. This would tie the game, but no good. Arnett with the aggressive rebound. And now California going to be able to hold it for the last shot as the shot clock is turned off, and Danny Sankum wants a timeout.
Yeah, and I know something I've praised this Vulcan team before is just how well they handle these quote-unquote late game scenarios. But, I mean, in this case, it's the final possession. They're so good at being able to handle that. And we're going to see Zion Collins and Keith Pallett come back into the game here. Zion only playing 6 minutes so far. Had to go out due to foul trouble. Same with Bryson Lucas, who also had to go out a little earlier with some foul trouble himself. Both of them sitting on 2. And there's something we haven't necessarily had to worry about has been fouls on the side of the Vulcans. I mean, only having 8 compared to 11 of the Rocks.
Back to your point on Zion only getting to play a couple minutes. He talked about how, you know, he's really realizing that this is his last season as a senior, and, you know, he's going higher and higher on the scoring list and doing whatever he can to be remembered here. But he wants to have as much fun as he can. He wants to soak it all in. And, you know, you want to keep out of foul trouble when you're doing something like that, because coming off that last game, he had 40 minutes played, 20 points in the game, so he was able to play the full 40. But, I mean, you hate to see a guy like that not get a lot of minutes in the first half, and you hope that changes in the second half.
And, I mean, really, if you look at it, too, this is probably his final year of competition. I don't believe he can get any more eligibility, because I believe this would be his grad year. So definitely something he wants here going into this year.
And the last second shot there by Clifford. It's going to come up short. And our halftime score, 33-30, exactly what we expected. California with a little 3-point lead, and we'll be right back here on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network.
Are you a Penn West California student looking to get involved in media? You have two great choices, and for both, all majors are welcome. CUTV is the home for Vulcan Sports. Be a part of 80-plus live games both home and on the road. We're looking for announcers, camera operators, graphic operators, and much more. There are also opportunities to develop your own shows. Go to our YouTube page, CUTV Sports 1, and see all of the content. WCAL Radio gives you the opportunity to play your music and develop your own show. Be heard locally over the air in a 40-mile radius and worldwide online. That's 91.9 FM, Power 92. SAI Media of CUTV and WCAL. Get out, join up, be seen, and be heard.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Convocation Center, where we have a 3-point lead for the California Vulcans over Slippery Rock. And, I mean, just an all-around interesting first half that kind of bounces off their last matchup that, you know, some emotions flaring. And I would say emotions are a little more in check this game, but it's definitely caused a lot of turnovers and miscues on both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been relatively close, all things considered. I thought going into this game it was going to look like a close game, but I don't think I imagined it exactly like it is now. I mean, you know, as I mentioned during that first half, this is just a basketball game. You know, I can't say there's necessarily too much being done wrong here. If anything, you could point to the Rock's turnovers and the fouls and getting them in trouble as a bit of a weakness here for them. But overall, I mean, it's just been an entertaining matchup, and I think really what you have to look at too is the defensive side of the ball. And in that first half, again, we saw a lot of turnovers. Specifically for the Rock, but a few for California as well. And I think it's some going into the second half you have to look out for.
Just kind of some of the stories of the first half. KJ McClurg leading the way with 13 for the Vulcans, and Ike Herster leading the way with 10 for Slippery Rock. And then I would say the story to watch out for on Slippery Rock's side is the foul trouble that they're kind of occurring right now. As Lindsay is sitting with 3 fouls, Maceo Austin, their leading scorer, with 3 fouls, and then Ike Herster with 2 himself. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on if that has any kind of effect in how the rest of this game plays out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an important game for the Rock, too. I mean, a win here probably cements you as a top 4 team within this upcoming playoff race. And a loss here is probably going to have you tied with the likes of Mercyhurst. Well, I mean, if I'm heading into the playoffs, I think one of the few teams I would not want to face has to be Mercyhurst, specifically for the reason that they are like the best defensive team in all of Division II basketball. I mean, all it takes is for you to go to Mercyhurst Athletics and look at the scores. Those games are usually below 50 points, and that should tell you everything. They play a very defensive side of the game and utilize that 3-point line for their offense. So I think if you're the Rock here, this is a very important matchup. You need to win at least one of 2 here in these upcoming games between Cal and Gannon. And, speaking of Gannon, we have a bit of a scoring update, do we not?
Yeah, so Mercyhurst, back on your point, the only team in the PSAC West not in action currently, as Gannon is made their trip to Indiana to play IUP, and they were losing. IUP had a 27-25 lead, but Gannon currently on a 13-1 run. They got their lead up to 37-28 currently, so that's a big game in the kind of can shape up the PSAC. And then we also got Seton Hill up 35-21 over Clarion, a little bit of a blowout there at halftime. And then Edinburgh 39-34 over Pitt Johnstown. So just some action going around, and we're more excited about the action on the floor in front of us.
No, absolutely. Is Zion Collins already going to get an early drive in? And again, that's what we want from him. You just want to see him drive that lane and get those points early on, because you know something he struggled with has just been taking quantity over quality. And you know, I think tonight we've seen mostly quality.
He always credits the halftime speeches and kind of just being able to muddle in your own thoughts and know what went well and what didn't go well in that first half to kind of motivate you in the second half. As Bryson Lucas misses a 3 from the top of the key, the fight for the rebound, the ball got out of bounds off of McClurg, and the Rock will take possession back.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a 3-point shot. That, I mean, even though Lucas misses it, you can't give up that early. Maceo Austin does go down. He thought he was going to get fouled there, so he was waiting for a ref call anything. I mean, that just left a little bit of a numbers mismatch, and that was an easy Bryson Lucas 3-point. Not able to get it to draw, though, and it's important for these Vulcans to take advantage of those small key mistakes here early on in the second.
Maceo Austin, a beautiful take there, and the ability to stop on a dime and kind of avoid the charge that Zion Collins was trying to take and find it off the window.
And I mean, I believe that is now Herster up to 12 on the night, and that's going to be important for him, too, being the leading scorer on this squad in this game.
Main Hall at the top of the key, guarded by Herster. He's going to drive it to the right side, get fouled, and finish as Herster picks up his 3rd now, and things are really shaping up in that foul department.
Yeah, and I mean, I think almost every single game that I've been on the microphone this year, I've mentioned that about fouls and how important they are. And if you're the Rock, you really can't ignore that. I mean, 3 of your players on the floor right now have 3 fouls. And I mean, that's already a pretty scary number, but in the second, I mean, if you're down by a bucket or 2 and you need to force fouls at the end, you don't want to lose your key scorers.
And I mean, worth noting that it might be 3 of their best players as well, as they all are kind of the most game-changing, top 3 in scoring, and Lindsay obviously the top rebounder. And the pull-up there by Maceo Austin's no good, and the rebound by Zion Collins. Passes it up to McClurg. He's going to stop on a dime and pull up for 3, and I mean, that's just what he's best at. KJ McClurg able to score at will, and that's what he's been doing here tonight, as he's up to 16 for the Vulcans.
Yeah, and again, a quiet game from KJ is 16 points. I don't want to know what his loud games are. And I mean, I know what his loud games are because when he played Wheeling earlier this year, set his new career high, which I believe was around 35, 36. And I mean, that's just not surprising from him, as he's going to take a heat check here from 3. Bang! What a shot from McClurg. That's going to send the Vulcans up 44-32.
A little 9-2 run to start this second half, and that's exactly what the Vulcans needed to kind of get a little kickstart. And I mean, it's sparking this offense to no means.
Yeah, I mean,
drive there by Goins, and that's going to be another charge taken by McClurg. I mean, he is just oohing and awing at the crowd right now, bringing the Vulcan fans to their feet.
Yeah, we need to take back the quiet game thing. We need to take that back. This is not a quiet game for KJ. I mean, already been impressive on the defensive side of the ball, which I think is something that isn't talked about much with McClurg, is just how impressive he is on the defensive side of the ball, as well as just being such a good scorer and being able to take that charge, get right back up, and such an impressive player Mr. McClurg is he not?
He's quite the impressive player, and I'm glad to have him in a Vulcans uniform, and hopefully for the next 2 years after this, as he's only a redshirt sophomore to this point. He's done his due diligence to kind of just fit into this offense, and right there the mishandled pass and the lay in there by Goins, just kind of a miscue between him and Bryson Lucas.
Yeah, and I mean, it's those small mistakes that you really can't let happen, but at the end of the day, early on in the second here, it's something that you can correct, and it's something that I don't think you're really going to be crying over.
Great little press break there by the Vulcans as Donald Whitehead kind of slowed things down. And he's wide open on the outside, doesn't get it in time, gets it over to Jermaine, who mishandles the pass. He's going to cross it cross court to McClurg again off the front rim, and no good. And that's going to be a foul on Donald Whitehead. I believe that's only his first, so nothing there to worry about too much, as he was just trying to play a little bit aggressive on the rebound.
And the defensive prowess of Whitehead was also seen there. He knew that he just needed to get himself in his hands there to try and be able to stop the ball, but he gets his body in there. Now that ends up creating the foul, and something that's been so important tonight, and has just been the fact that these teams have been taking shots and just not landing. I mean, you look at the field goal percentage here tonight, 36 for the Rock, 38 for the Vulcans.
And to be fair, I believe that was just kind of the referee scared to call another charge, as he's called his fair share tonight, because in my opinion, Donald Whitehead was in the right place at the right time, but he does get called for the block and picks up back-to-back fouls in a short period of time.
And thankfully, though, we are still pretty early on within the second, and Coach Sankum having some words with the referee, and that's something that is as tried and true with these Vulcans. There are some things you will always live and die for with this team, and one of those is Coach Sankum arguing about a call. But hey, I mean, if I'm a player, I want that. I want my coach arguing everything for me, trying to make sure that the wrong calls aren't called, and these games are fair.
You don't like to believe that a referee is influenced by coaches and how they react, but they are. I mean, end of the day, they know what they're doing. They know what the coaches know what they're talking about as well. They're not going to just spit out nonsense and hope that it goes their way. They know that he trains his guys to get into the right positions on defense, to draw charges, to be able to play defense effectively. And he's not happy when a bailout call like that comes up and 2 free throws are made on the other end.
Yeah, and I mean, I love coaches like that. Those are usually the best teams. The teams that win are just the ones that want their guys working hard and want them taking those tough shots. No way, you are kidding me, KJ. You did not just do that.
KJ McClurg, the 3-point bucket and the foul. Second time in as many games as he has done that. And I mean, he is just trigger happy this half, as he is connected on 3 of 4 3-pointers and just up to 22 points on the night. Like you said, we talked about him having a quiet night. If 22 points in 24 minutes is a quiet night, man, I don't know if anybody's able to have even a somewhat unsilent night.
I mean, 4 for 6 from 3. I think that's just been showing how good he is from beyond the arc. And, I mean, there's just nowhere on this offensive side of the ball that he isn't a threat on this court. I mean, you put him at the free throw line, he's like, what, a 70, 80% free throw shooter. You put him beyond the arc, shooting well over 40. You put him in the field and he's shooting above 40. It's just, there's nowhere on this offensive side of the ball. KJ is not a threat.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am at a loss of words after Macio Austin just shut this place down and brought crickets to the building after that unbelievable slam and one.
I have no words for what I just saw. That was, you know, that harkens me back to what we saw last year when the Vulcans played Mercyhurst here at home, and Jermaine Hall Jr. hit like the nastiest dunk of his life. That was absolutely insane.
That was everything and more, as I can see Macio over there kind of shaking his hand. I mean, I can't imagine that felt too great considering how hard he slammed that home. I mean, that was absolutely unbelievable by the graduate student from Sharon, PA. There's a reason why he's averaging 18 a game, why he's the leading scorer, why he's got 8 games of 20-plus points. I mean, that was showtime. If you think Division II basketball is just a bunch of people that couldn't make it to Division I and just settled, you're wrong, because these guys are about as talented as they come, and Macio did everything there to prove that point correct. He still has got to go to the line. Following the spectacular dunk, you can see him shaking his hand there, his wrist hurting somewhat. I mean, you got to hope that he's okay, because a superstar like that, regardless of who you're rooting for, you're hoping they can stay in the game and they can be effective, because, I mean, he is just out of this world. That was insane. We talk about KJ McClurg's highlight plays throughout the first half of this game and, you know, coming into the second half, but at the end of the day, when you're able to do that, that's quite the answer. It's Macio Austin, 64% free throw shooter, coming off of the great dunk. He's able to finish it, make it a three-point play, put that on the highlight reel, and send it over to ESPN. 8-point lead for the Vulcans, under 16 to play in this ball game. Bryson Lucas with it now, gets it to McClurg. He's on a bit of a heat check as he draws another foul on Lindsay. And once again, Lindsay is going to pick up a foul that you're just not hoping for if you're a fan of the Rock. Or actually, that's going to be on Herster. And Herster's going to pick up his fourth. And I mean, Ike Herster coming off the last game he had against the Vulcans with 36 points, his career high. You know he is not happy here and that he just picked up his fourth foul of the game with so much time left to play. KJ McClurg coming to the free throw line. As Nate said, an 83% free throw shooter on the year. Connects on the first, and I mean, when you look at KJ McClurg's numbers, especially from the free throw line in this sense, tonight he is 5 for 6. On the season, he is 154 of 184. I mean, those are numbers that are unheard of when it comes to, you know, quantity and percentage-wise. He's third in the PSAC in free throw percentage and second in the PSAC in free throws attempted. And that's going to be a charge. Once again, another big player for the Rock picking up their fourth foul, as I thought Lindsay had picked it up on the last possession, but he picks it up now. And I'm sure head coach Ian Grady is frustrated. I mean, you did see a little bit of a lowering of the shoulder, but I will say the Vulcans have always excelled at kind of selling the call and being able to put themselves in a position that makes it seem like, you know, maybe the foul was a little bit harder than it was, but nonetheless, Lindsay finds his way to the bench, sitting alongside Herster, both with 4 fouls. And a little step back here from McClurg, I swear. I was going to say, if that falls, this place is going to erupt. And the great outlet pass deep to Goins, and he misses the lay-in as he went up for the dunk, misses it. Donald Whitehead with the steal, brings it up. Bryson Lucas with it now. The spin move off the board, no good, but the tip-in will be waved off. The tip-in by Jermaine Hall waved off. As they say, the ball was still sitting on the rim. That'll be offensive interference. And I believe they're going to go to the monitor to make sure that that is the case. Luckily here at the Convocation Center, we do have enough camera angles to be able to tell if the call was correct or not. Referees actually came up to us pre-game asking if our laptops were going to be able to show them any replays they needed to see, and pointed them in the right direction, and that's where they are now. While we have this little break in action, we'll look ahead for both of these teams, as both teams only with 5 games remaining following tonight's matchup. Next for the California Vulcans, on Wednesday they will host Clarion here at the Convocation Center. Clarion right now falling in a bit of a landslide to Edinburgh as they were down 14 at halftime. And that's going to be a big game to kind of boost California's momentum if they can come out of that with a win. Following that, they'll have a week off and play again on February 21st, the following Wednesday against Pitt Johnstown, where they must travel to Johnstown. And then they'll come back home that Saturday for their senior day against Mercyhurst, the best defensive team in the PSAC West. And we will get to Slippery Rock's upcoming matchups during the next break, as we are back in action, and the tip in there by Jermaine was indeed an offensive interference. Now Macio kind of working the ball a little bit over Bryson Lucas. The fadeaway jumper, no good. And now the pass up to Bryson Lucas, and that's going to be an explanation point as he dunks it. Jermaine Hall in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they're going to technical him, but Bryson Lucas kind of had to do that. I mean, if you watch the replay, if he didn't do that, he would have landed on Jermaine Hall's neck. I mean, he practically did anyway. But with Jermaine Hall being under him, there has to be a sense of being able to protect yourself, and you can't always just let go of the rim at any given time. In this sense, Bryson Lucas was in no wrong, in my opinion. I will never criticize referees, and there we go, they call it off. I'm sorry, but in that sense, Bryson Lucas needed to do that to not only protect himself, but to protect his teammate, Jermaine Hall. Jermaine Hall running in transition, you're not able to stop in a split second in transition like that. He wanted to follow it up in case Bryson were to miss it, and got in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bryson just did his best to protect him. And this is going to be Bryson, another steal here. That'll be his 5th steal of the night. Donald White had a 2-on-1 with Jermaine. Kind of came up with the ball, but KJ McClurg coming back with it. The feed by Bryson Lucas, up and under, and Jermaine Hall with another finish. California up to the biggest lead of the night at 14, 53-39, 14 minutes to play, and just an incredible sequence of events there by the California Vulcans. Howells with it now, guarded by Whitehead, gets a little bit of space. He's going to put up a 3, try to silence the crowd, no good. KJ McClurg with yet again another rebound, and the pass up to Zion Collins. McClurg up to 5 rebounds on the night with his 24 points to go along with it. Donald Whitehead at the top of the key. Gets it over to Collins. They're going to switch defenders, and Collins now with the smaller defender on him. Gets the backdoor cut again to Jermaine Hall. Creates a little contact, but McClurg there to clean it up. And I mean, always in the right place at the right time is KJ McClurg, as he ups his point total to 26, and he increases this California lead to 16. There's going to be a timeout call to kind of stop the bleeding here. And I mean, what a sequence of events by the California Vulcans there to be able to extend this lead, get themselves in great position. And we welcome our good friend Nate Kurtz back to the broadcast. What do you think about that sequence of events there?
Okay, so I need to be careful with this wording because Mr. Smith has warned me in the past. My derrieres were almost filled. That was an amazing dunk by Bryson, and I mean, I think we've come to expect that here. I mean, what an energizing play. You felt this place just absolutely glow and jump to life, and I mean, I'm surprised at first that was initially called that foul because, I mean, dude, Jermaine Hall, I got a picture that I'm about to edit here now and send through the athletics information director here, where you can clearly see Jermaine Hall Jr. under him, so don't understand why that call was first made, but I mean, what an amazing offensive sequence by these Vulcans, and I mean, they've just absolutely come to life here in the second.
I was talking to the audience while you were gone, and I mean, I can understand, you know, if you want to hang on the rim excessively and want to show off or something. But Bryson was not only protecting himself there, but he was protecting Jermaine.
Oh,
and
absolutely, yeah.
That's the main reason why he had to hang on the rim, and I'm so glad that they were able to call that back because, that was the best that he could do to kind of protect both of them.
I think that's just now why we're so glad to have the replay here available to these referees. It does stop calls like that from happening because, think about it, that call can, as minuscule as it is, change a game. And, we're glad to see that not only Jermaine ended up okay out of that, but Gary Smith does have highlights for tonight.
And you'll definitely want to stay tuned for those, as at the top of them will be that dunk by Bryson Lucas over his good friend Jermaine Hall. The take there by Maceo Austin, and he'll be able to finish. As they brought back in Lindsey and Hurster, both with 4 fouls. I'm sure coach's message to them and Ian Grady was just to kind of stay back and not allow them to pick up their 5th fouls. But California's a physical team, and they can make things happen. So you have to wonder if that will. And there it is. Hurster's going to pick up his 5th foul, and he's out of the game.
What an impressive lay-in by KJ. He takes that shot so many times, but, it just never gets tired to see. And that's going to be Hurster getting out of the game. And it's unfortunate, too, because he's had such an impressive performance here tonight, 12 points. And for this Rock squad, looking grimmer and grimmer as the minutes go by.
Quite a tale of two sides with Hurster and this California Vulcans team, as last time they played 36 points on 12 of 19 shooting, 10 for 13 from the line. And now tonight, only able to play 17 minutes total, fouling out. And, you did say 12 points, but only 4 for 9 from the floor, 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. So not what he was expecting coming into this game. And California just did a great job of containing him. And Bryson Lucas almost picks up his 6th steal of the night there. Maceo Austin's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit and be as aggressive as he can be now with his 2nd leading scorer out of the game. The foul there, and Max Staunch will go to the line, and for his first kind of action tonight, is I believe he is without this is actually his first minute in the game following the foul out by Hurster.
And how about that pass from Austin, just that missile to the corner, and what a great offensive sequence from the Rock to be able to draw out those fouls. The score looking worse and worse for the side of the Rock, down 16 now with 12 left. Anything is possible, but almost all of your top scorers and your leading stars on this team are in foul trouble. One of them, and Ike Hurster, now out completely for the rest of this game, and KJ McClure going off. It's just looking worse and worse.
Coming back the other way. Pass over. Oh my goodness. Bryson Lucas is a human highlight reel. This guy is unbelievable. We talked about it last game in his amazing performance against Seton Hill, and now he is just continuing to add on to his resume. Defensively, this guy has 2 blocks, 5 steals, and then on the offensive side, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 points. Nothing crazy, but he just does it all for this Vulcans team.
I don't know how a player like this, with this type of performance tonight, just doesn't end up with the PSAC Defensive Athlete of the Week. 6 steals alone. From all people, Bryson Lucas. No knockback to him, but I don't think we're the first guy on this team expecting to get that many steals in a night. I think we're more looking at him for the blocks.
There's another one he almost picks up, and I believe KJ will kind of clean it up. Finish with the left hand, and oh my goodness! Bryson Lucas, calm down! This man is unbelievable. As a follow-up dunk following the KJ rare miss on a lay-in, and Maceo tries to quiet the crowd a little bit as he's going to hit a pull-up 3 and cut the lead down to 15. But my God, Bryson Lucas, he is jumping out of his shoes tonight.
Dude, it's a Saturday. I'm not ready for this type of energy, and the Don just hits a stupidly good mid-range. Dude, these Vulcans are absolutely on fire on the offensive side of the ball tonight. Absolutely amazing for them.
If I had to guess, Danny Sankum kind of gave them a reminder of what happened over at the Slippery Rock at halftime. And he said, if you don't want that to happen again, you guys got to pick it up in the second half, play your game, don't fall in traps. And that's exactly what they're doing, is playing their game, running in transition, making shots. What an impressive performance from the Vulcans.
They're showing why they were number 9 in the country at some point I mean, this is a team that came into this year with national championship contention ideals and dreams. And, I mean, I know Slip probably isn't the team that you're looking for to put that in performance up against, but my Lord, they have shown it here tonight.
That was just a great sequence of events. I mean, I keep saying it's a great sequence of events, but really it was just a great 9 minutes of play from the Vulcans to open up this game, give them a 17-point cushion. And right now, I mean, you still have a lot to worry about. There's a lot of game to be played, but when you have this much of a cushion, you really have to, you know, a lot of bad things will have to happen if they want to fall back out of this game. So as long as they can continue to keep playing the game that they've been playing, I'm sure they'll be in good hands. As we kind of look around the PSAC West one more time here as we're getting into the later parts of these games. Pitt Johnstown turning it around in this second half against Edinboro as they outscored them 20-9 so far. And they currently hold a 6-point lead, 54-48. Seton Hill still kind of has a bit of a lead over Clarion, 41-29. And then in the Gannon IUP game, just coming out of halftime, 43-34 in favor of the Gannon Golden Knights, who have won 9 straight, looking for their 10th, still sitting at the top of the PSAC West.
Ooh. Interesting game going on in Indiana as of right now. But if we're looking at the West, I think probably my sleeper team that I picked going into the year was Edinboro. And, I mean, they've kind of proven that to a certain extent. I think going into the playoffs, I think they do have the potential as a lower seed to try and upset, but I think what really depends on that is how they end their season. I mean, you look at the Balkans last year; they ended their season really well and ended up with a solid win over Seton Hill and a good performance against IUP in the PSAC second round.
Connection there by Samoa. Back to your point on Edinboro, they do currently sit at number 8, actually, in the conference. Well, tied 7th with Clarion, so they continue to lose that game to Pitt Johnstown. They're going to be just out of the playoff race right there. The handoff to McClurg, the 3 off the back rim, no good, and the rebound by Macio. Like we said, Macio without his Robin to his Batman out there as Herster on the bench for the remainder of this game. And Bryson Lucas is going to commit the foul on Shiak Samora. And I believe he will go to the line for 3 as that he was behind the line.
You know, Bryson has only had 8 points here tonight, and now 3 fouls. 2 of those were like the most disrespectful dunks I have ever seen live in person. And then one of the nastiest layups I think I have ever seen as well. And, I mean, that's just a testament to his game. I mean, he's such a flashy player. And, I mean, he's just able to get those buckets here, there, and here and there.
I can tell you one thing. I will have my telescope out after this game looking for Bryson Lucas for an interview for the Cal Times, as he has just been absolutely electric, not only this game but all season long, as he does make his way to the bench, picking up, like you said, his 3rd foul. Keith Palak checking in for him. And, I mean, after the 10 minutes that he just put together, I'm sure he needs that break anyway.
I was expecting you to plug your article. I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were going to.
Well, you know, if you ever do want to keep up with California basketball, go ahead and log on to caltimes.org. Make sure you subscribe and look out for any incoming articles from me or Braxton Turner on the men's and women's basketball teams. So there's my plug for that.
You sly little man, you.
Donald Whitehead creates some space, puts up a 3 off the back rim, no good. Jermaine Hall in a sea of green somehow comes up with the rebound. Donald Whitehead on the drive, the kick over to the corner, up top to Jermaine Hall, fakes the pass, gets it to Zion Collins. Collins hasn't been too active tonight, but his team's doing enough to keep them ahead. He drives to the basket, gets it to McClurg, and McClurg just continues to impress as he repositions himself and lays it in to get over the 30-point mark.
Yeah, and I mean, if I had to imagine, this is probably his 4th or 5th time he's hit the over 30 mark this season. Just again, showing how well he is on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, I don't know if there's too much else you can even say about KJ that we haven't already said here tonight.
A great finish there by Clifford. With the smaller Donald Whitehead on him, he's just able to kind of size him up and hit the hook shot. But I mean, like you said, KJ McClurg is not unfamiliar with these type of games as he puts them together on a regular basis. California getting a little bit trigger happy from beyond the arc, though, as this game still is in reach for the Rock. All of a sudden it went from 17 to 12. Thank God that ball didn't come our way, because
Yeah, I had that fear for a second. I'm not gonna lie.
We got some computers over here we deeply cherish. Don't want to see anything happen to those, but
Yeah,
nonetheless.
my mom's sitting right behind us. If she sees this computer break, I think my legs break, man.
Yeah, not a good sign there, but luckily he almost saved it for the Vulcans, but it'll still stay on this end for the Rock. Down 12, just over 8 to play. Macio with the take and the finish. He's now up to 21 points on the night. 10-point lead for California. They kind of need to buckle down a little bit now. All of a sudden, they went from having fun to kind of sweating. As a 17-point lead decreases to 10 just like that. Oh, no, that's not what we like to see. KJ McClurg went for a crossover and rolled his ankle, and he's in some pain right now.
And I mean, if you're a part of the Vulcan faithful, that is the absolute last thing you want to see. I mean, I think we've come to know him as one of those players that'll play through anything regardless of if he's, I mean, he could be out there with one leg and still probably be scoring 20 a night, but
he's got that ankle brace on, and you got to think Danny Sankum just breathed out a sigh of relief that he's able to stand up on his own power, but you got to wonder if he's going to give him a little bit of a break here, or he's going to try to just ride it out and see how he is. You can see he already has a brace on that ankle, so it's been an issue for him previously, and you got to wonder how he's feeling right now.
And I think that's why you see Antoine Arnett lining up. If I had to guess, he's going to come in here for KJ, whether that take him out for a few minutes for a little bit of a break or just send him off for tonight and not even risk it.
Yeah, he's limping pretty hard, and he knows he's coming out of the game. And, I mean, at the end of the day, you want KJ healthy for the playoff run that they're going to make. I mean, you said it the other day, they clinched their spot. And with 5 games remaining after this one, I mean, yes, they're important games, but at the same time, the most important will come in the PSAC tournament following their last game on March 2nd. So, I mean, he has time to get healthy, and you got to hope that maybe it's not as serious as it looked.
Yeah, and I mean, this team's looking not even at the PSAC playoffs at this point. I mean, at this level, I think this team just wants to go for the national championship. So, I mean, it's worrying that, you know, you're potentially not only lose him if he does have a bad injury for the conference play, you may end up losing for the regionals if they do so make it.
Zion Collins from 3, and that's what he was so good at in the Seton Hill game, is he connected on 5 3-pointers in the second half of that game, and that's his first of this half. Goings with it now on the left wing. Samoa with it, pass over to Lindsay. Lindsay to Macio. Macio on the drive, goes up with the right hand, a great finish. He's doing everything he can this half to try to keep his team in the game.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I think definitely what's been impressive for this Rock in this second half of the second half has been their ability to just cut down on the fouls. I mean, it's just been, what, maybe a solid 4 or 5 minutes since we've seen the last, like, bad one committed, as a rare shot from Antoine Arnett from the mid-range does not fall.
Yeah, you don't really see those inefficient shots from Arnett very often, but right there just kind of doing a little step back, trying to get his feel for the game, and at least he does come back with a rebound on the other end, and the Vulcans still with a 12-point lead, 6.5 to play in this PSAC West matchup with Slippery Rock, a team that, like we said earlier, did upset them earlier in the year, and they got a little bad blood for one another. Zion Collins with it now, gets a screen from Jermaine Hall. He's going to pull up once again off the back rim and no good. Keith Palick going to get called for the push-off. And that's going to take us to our second to last media timeout here with 6 minutes and 20 seconds to play. California with a 68-56 lead. And I guess now while we have a little break in action, I'll go back to Slippery Rock's upcoming matchups following this game. And I mean, their games to end the season might be a little more important than California's, as right now they sit at the number 4 seed in the PSAC West with Mercyhurst and Seton Hill close behind them. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up for them. But like you said, a little bit of a tough stretch for them. Obviously playing California tonight, and then they travel to Gannon on Wednesday to face the number, I believe, I don't know if it's 8 or 4. I keep seeing 8/4 for Gannon, so it might be different for different polls, but they play Gannon on Wednesday, traveling there. come back home for their game against Pitt Johnstown on Saturday, and then next Wednesday they travel to Clarion, followed by Indiana, Edinburgh, and Mercyhurst. So they have a rough stretch coming up, and they need to pull together in order to sit pretty in the PSAC playoffs.
Absolutely, but I mean, I think Coach Gritty has absolutely recovered this team off to a bit of a weak start. I know they were off in Hawaii to start their season off and had a bit of a tough stretch to start off their season, but I mean, absolutely rebounded in, and I mean, I think probably their most telling win had to be against those Vulcans at home, and I mean, it's just been such a tough game for them here. I mean, they got off into the early foul trouble. They weren't necessarily able to find the shots they wanted from outside the arc, and then eventually just the turnovers, and it's just been a horrendous night for these Rock players. But to their credit, they have stayed in it the entire game. They are going to play to the last minute, and I think that's something very admirable about this team.
I mean, you made a great point. Slippery Rock going to, anytime you go to Honolulu, it's a great place. But they suffered 2 losses there. That was loss number 2 and 3 of a 6-game losing streak that they experienced. And I mean, since then, I'm not going to say since then, but they've won 5 of their last 6 now. And they're playing some good basketball. They're trying to climb the rankings as far as they can and kind of cement themselves as a serious contender in this PSAC conference. As right now, a 10-point lead for the Vulcans, 6 minutes to go. Zion Collins driving the left side, creates a little bit of space, but steps on the line, and it'll come back the other way.
And I think for guys like Zion Collins and I guess guys like Donald Whitehead Jr., they love utilizing the back line to try and drive and see if they could send out passes. They're just going to roll the ball along here and try and make sure they save as much time as they can. Obviously, this is a team that doesn't want to lose this matchup, and a good little note here is that KJ is lined back up at the scorer's table, and that means, if anything, he is still good enough and ready to play here tonight.
That is a great sign for any Vulcans fans or anybody related in California Vulcans basketball. Is, he's healthy enough to get back in this game, let alone games in the future. Clifford tried to slam it home there, but came up a bit short, and it goes off of him and out of bounds, so the Vulcans will come back the other way. Jermaine Hall getting a bit of a laugh out of that.
And I mean, I can't necessarily blame that one against them. I think he just wanted to put some energy back into life for the bench and show them that they still had what it takes to keep up with this team. I mean, with 5:30 left on the clock now, they're still only down 10. And I mean, that's still very realistic for this Rock team to get back and make this a real game.
What a great pass by Jermaine, but just Zion not able to hold on to it. It's going to come back the other way. Back-to-back turnovers for the Vulcans. Not exactly what you want to see.
And I think that mix-up just came from Donald Whitehead cutting underneath the basket. I think Zion was more focused on him. Didn't see the Jermaine Hall pass coming right towards him. Just bounced right off his hands. And again, these offensive possessions are going to mean everything at the end of the game here. 10-point difference between these two teams. It's going to be very important for these Vulcans to take these possessions, as I think that's going to be a block by Lucas.
Bryson Lucas just all over the place on the offensive and defensive side of the floor. And like I said, I'm gonna be waiting for him at the tunnel of that locker room after this game, as long as all goes well. It's the handoff there to Whitehead. He's going to drive to the middle and bring it back out. 10 on the shot clock. Nice dribbling moves here by Whitehead. The pull-up 2, and oh my goodness, that was a move that cannot go unnoticed, as he's able to cross up his defender and nail the jumper as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the move that if you're Donald Whitehead Jr., you just need to take at that moment. Because, I mean, not necessarily anything was opening up for him on the offensive side of the ball, and it seems like nothing was really being set in motion for him. And Maseo Austin, you could just see life draining from him. Put so much into this game here tonight, and it's just, I don't know if he has too much left in the tank by this point.
Austin has played all 32 of 36 minutes in this game, up to 23 points, and doing all he can without his sidekick out there. Another turnover by the Rock, and if you're head coach Ian Grady, that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, and it's just an unnecessary football pass here. A 3:50 left. I mean, it's a 12-point difference in this game. Take the ball slowly, try and eat away at them, and eventually you get down to the last possession or two. You don't need to force these type of possessions with this much time remaining.
And that foul will take us to our last media timeout and our last commercial break, as we will be right back here on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network. Stay tuned for an exciting last 4 minutes of this game.
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we're ready for the final 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this matchup between two would have really become rivals in the PSAC West, with the score being California 70, Slippery Rock 58. I mean, it's not over till it's over, but California has put themselves in a pretty good position here with under 4 minutes to play.
No, absolutely, and I think a lot of this just comes down to what was done in the first half. I think Vulcans were able to create enough fouls and put them within the foul watch. They were able to just, show their offensive firepower and flex the muscles a little bit. And near the end of that first, to give themselves a bit of a comfortable little standpoint to where they are. And now going into the second, it's you have one foul out from Ike Herster and LeSean Lindsay and Maseo Austin also now on foul watch as well. And something as small as that, but it's really turned the tide of this game.
And a very rare miss there by Donald Whitehead, as he's connected on like his last 20 free throws or something, I believe, as he's gotten his percentage over 90%. Misses there. And that's kind of a big miss, because that could have been 2 points had he made both. Walks away with 0. And oh my goodness, another steal by Bryson Lucas, just putting his hand in the right place at the right time and finishing the lay-in as well. I'm holding the 10.
I thought about it too, because I thought he was going to send home another, nut jam. But no, I mean, it's 10 points for him on the night. And a very loud 10 points. I mean, by the way he's played here, I thought, you'd be looking at like a 20-point game. But something as small as a 10-point performance just made so loud by some electric dunks, some even more electric layups.
You can see Goings pretty frustrated with the referee's call there. And I'm sure frustrations are building for all of the Rock, as nothing seems to be going their way in the second half. After going into halftime with only a 3-point deficit, now down 14, just hasn't been their night following the halftime break. Donald Whitehead up top doing a little bit of dribbling move, and Luke Howells just trying his best to stay in front of him. He drives to the basket, the floater, and I mean, if that's one way to get a defender off you, I mean that's how you do it, because he just took Howells all the way to the bucket, floater over his head, drained it.
And even though a bit of a quiet night here from Donald Whitehead Jr., he's just done such a good such a good job at commanding this ball, and seeing this floor as a general and moving the ball around. And it's been so impressive for a guy that has missed a few games this year due to injury, and even last year we didn't really get to see him until after the winter break.
Howells answers there with a 3 from the corner. And now a reach in by Howells after everybody in the crowd here is kind of asking for these fouls, as Howells is just trying to play as aggressive and physical as he can. I mean, late in the game when you're down this much, there's really not much else you can do but try your best to get a steal, and sometimes it creates contact in the process.
On a rare occasion, we're seeing Danny Sankum actually sit down. Like, this is such a small note, but I think the entirety of this season, I've only seen him sit down once in a game time scenario.
It's funny that you say that, because you say like a weird situation to talk about. I said the same thing last game. He took a seat. He took a seat at one point in the game, and I said, I don't know if I've ever seen that. If I've ever seen Danny Sankum not on his feet during action. And I mean, he's right back up already, so no surprise there. Goins with a great pull-up 3 and a timeout there by Ian Grady. try to get his team back on track because they're only down 11 with just under 2 to play.
And I think you really need to ride that hot hand of Goings. He hasn't seen much action here tonight. I mean, I know he's had 32 minutes, so they may not see it, but the 7 turnovers that he has had here has really just limited the play of not only himself, but this team in general, not being able to, I mean, realistically, let's do the math here. That's, 23 turnovers on the entire night, and that's almost 23 offensive possessions that you lose here.
A little update from the PSAC West. Gannon just absolutely putting on a show. Up 18 points on IUP, and they're currently, I believe, I'm not the best at math, so don't quote me here, but I believe they are on a 40-16 run right now currently.
Excuse me?
As they were down 6 at one point, and now they are up by 18. I mean, what a performance there by the Gannon Golden Knights. As they're trying, I mean, they pretty much succeeded just about. Honestly, I hope I curse them, but in winning their 10th straight.
And as the fan said, where's the whistle? I would like to correct them. It is in the referee's mouth.
I feel like sometimes when fans are a little bit emotional about the calls on the floor, referees react in the opposite way, and they will then not call it just to
out of spite.
Yes, and I'm not saying that's the wrong call because really that could have went either way, but I do think that's what the ref does because you don't want to be known as a ref that follows the crowd. As Lindsay checks out, fouls out of the game, only finishes the night with 2 points. Not his best performance. He was able to pull down 6 rebounds, but 5 of them being in the first 9 minutes of action. He finishes with 26 minutes, so kind of quiet in those last 17, not being able to do much as him and Hurst are kind of no-shows tonight.
And what's I probably think hurt them the most is just losing Hurst so early on. I mean, only being able to play 18 minutes here tonight. I mean, you've been forced to play guys like Clifford and Austin far more than probably you would normally like to, just because everyone else is in foul trouble, and you can't really risk, putting out your lesser experienced guys who probably aren't even dressed here tonight.
Bobby Clifford only averaging 18.5 minutes per game, and tonight at 26. So, I mean, that's just building on to your point of just, not being able to really play the guys you are used to playing. And you just got to, you got to give credit where it's due. California's done a good job of kind of containing the best players on this team. Maceo still with 23, but, I mean, for the most part, California has shut down any kind of comeback hopes for the Rock as they get their revenge tonight, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. And another noteworthy thing here is KJ McClurg 1 point away from tying his career high, 35 against Wheeling. He scored that in December of 2023 as we're going to get another timeout here in the final 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Another guy I will definitely be having some binoculars, keeping an eye out for, trying to put together the best article we can at the Cal Times with the best players possible. As him and Bryson Lucas have been definitely dipped their hand in the cookie jar tonight. Got a minute and 10 seconds pretty much to play. 77-66. I mean, not much to say besides just a great performance by the Vulcans so far, and you got to hope they can close it out in these last 70 seconds.
Yeah, and I think if you're part of this Vulcan Nation, one of your greatest assets is the fact that you don't have to play Gannon again. I mean, you've already seen them twice this year, once at home for a win, and then most recently away as a loss. But that's probably the worst team you have on your calendar if you are a part of the Vulcan faithful. And I think probably the worst team you have to face again this year is IUP, and that one's at home.
I will stop and give a quick shout out to Rob Ramsey, friend of our producer here, Gary Smith, and former player as well. So shout out you, Rob, as Gary kind of gave me the message earlier, and it had slipped my mind, but I looked down at my notes here and kind of got a little quick reminder. Great press break here by the Vulcans in the meantime. KJ McClurg with it now, trying to get a new career high, and he does. Lays it in for 36, and that marks his career high for the leading scorer in the PSAC West.
And I mean, again, no surprises here. He's just done such a good job all year long, all of last year as well, just showing off his offensive prowess and that beautiful shot that he has. And just a testament to how well KJ McClure plays this court and plays with this team. And I guess that's just a testament to Coach Sankum as well. I mean, I've talked about this a few times this year, is just how well he has built this program, and how well he coaches these players, and how unselfish that this team is with each other.
First one is no good. Keeps the score at 79-66. 42.5 seconds to play in this game. The second one there by Howes is good. He's an 83% free throw shooter on the year, so rare miss to start, but nonetheless, 12-point game here. Turnover by Whitehead. Macia's going to finish it. All of a sudden, it's a 10-point game. Just the question is there enough time? The inbound to Jermaine Hall. They're going to call a foul as they had 3 guys on him. I mean, he was in trouble there, so he kind of got bailed out by a foul call. And Ian Grady not happy over there as he's letting the ref hear it.
Yeah, I liked the denial he gave by just screaming, "No way, man."
And sometimes as a coach, you really do just have to show that emotion to show how much you care. And I mean, I'm sure he was in a little bit of disbelief as he thought the slimmest glimpse of hope was coming through the clouds there as they were cutting the lead down and down. And now they're able to get to the free throw line. Jermaine does miss the first, however. Being in the double bonus, he will shoot 2.
Yeah, and the loud "come on, man" from Coach Danny Sankum, and this is a scary situation for the Vulcans. It's still a 10-point lead with 32 seconds. I mean, that seems almost impossible. But I mean, as we've seen many years in college basketball, whether looking at the March Madness tournament, whether looking at regular season basketball, anything can happen in the littlest of time.
I love this move by Danny Sankum to bring the team up and not allow them to roll the ball or savor any time. As Slippery Rock trying to move as fast as they can. And a travel there as he took about 4 or 5 steps. Howes not able to really control the ball too well there. Donald Whitehead checking back into the game for Antoine Arnett, as he is the best free throw shooter on this squad. Like I said, coming into the game at 91%. And they're not even going to foul. A little bit of respect here from Slippery Rock as they just allow the Vulcans to run out the clock. I say respect, but they're still chasing them around, kind of acting like they're going to steal it, so who knows. But nonetheless, great win by the Vulcans. Donald Whitehead, a little bit of a smile. Final score, 80-69. California back on the winning track as they win their 20th of the year, 20-3. Slippery Rock falls to 11-11, back to 500. This has been Andrew White and Nate Kurtz. Thank you all for listening and watching. This has been CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network.